Hey, Good Smackers, and welcome back to the Good Smack podcast brought to you by Hey Social Good. I'm your host, Cindy J.
And I'm Kate Hauser, and we're here to talk some smack. Good smack, of course.
Each episode, we interview leaders, business owners, and thought provokers in the world of sustainability and social good in hopes of inspiring you to do some good through more mindful, conscious habits.
Sometimes all we really need is a good smack to wake us up to the issues facing our world and small steps that we can take to help give back. So Cindy J, are you ready to talk some smack?
Yes, I am. Let's do it. Welcome back to the Good Smack podcast. Today we're here with Monica Leonard, founder of Molly's Suds, a super amazing cleaning products brand that focuses on making sure you can clean your house and clothes without worrying about toxics in the soap. Thank you so much for being here with us, Monica.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm really excited to be featured, but more importantly, to find like-minded people that are not only in the business of educating people about the safer / just better for you, better for the planet brands, but also really that education piece, which I think is missing. So it's exciting to me that that's kind of the space that you're in. It's just that education so people can learn to align themselves with companies with a mission that helps the planet and in turn, obviously, themselves.
Thank you. Well, we really want to hear about your story because I think I understand you were a nurse and you went from a nurse to creating amazing laundry detergent to an entire cleaning brand. Can you tell us kind of what got you started?
Yes, so we had a very unconventional way of the way that our company started. Back in 2005, actually, my husband and I had our fourth daughter. And she was stillborn, and her name was Molly. And I was a pediatric nurse, and it was kind of that, obviously as a mother, it was very devastating to my husband and I to have a stillborn baby with no risk factors and 3 previous healthy pregnancies. But also even as a nurse, there's more so, I don't want to call it a chip on your shoulder, but you can, especially pediatrics. Like, I'm like, yeah. I didn't do anything wrong. Why? You always want to blame yourself and things like this happen. But so then for me, it was really the mission of finding out like what could have gone wrong spiritually. I know that God had a purpose and a plan, but what physically could have gone wrong with my body that this happened. So I was on a quest and I started using the Google, effects of what on the body would create a stillbirth. And of course, once I kind of went through all the biological things that could happen, that for me, I didn't have any kind of odd blood disorder, anything else like that. I started finding these studies that showed that the unborn babies are exposed to chemicals that the mothers are exposed to before birth. They're already circulating in their blood. There was a cord blood study that was done that showed that there were over 180 different chemicals from household pesticides, household cleaning products, pesticides, of course, food additives, and other chemicals that we come into contact each day that we don't even realize.
Right.
And I was a nurse and we used to clean rooms after, you would discharge a patient and you would clean the rooms and you would come into contact with germicides.
Right.
And we're not janitors. And so because of that, we weren't trained properly on how to protect ourselves from these chemicals, unlike the janitorial services who learned proper protection. So there were so many different things. And I was like, it had to have been some type of exposure. My body is toxic. And because there's proof that newborns have these chemicals circulating in their blood, as soon as they're born and that, the maternal blood stops and then the fetal blood takes on, I knew that there were chemicals already circulating in all of our children's blood. And so that for me really became the focus, even though I still don't know the reason. But it became the focus on how can I protect my family if my body has this circulating in my body already? How can I prevent this from happening to my children moving forward? And if we decide to get pregnant again, which we did, we had a rainbow baby almost a year later. But how can I prevent this from happening again? And so it really became a quest of reducing the chemical exposure in my home, which is the only place that I can control, right? And what did that look like? And so immediately I became somebody that looked at the back of the ingredient label on food, looked at the back of the ingredient label on my face wash and our sunscreen and our shampoo and conditioner. And then I looked on the back of our ingredient label on our detergent, and there was no ingredient listed. And on the back of our Windex, and there is no ingredient listed. And that was the start for me. I'm like, why aren't they listing the ingredients? What they were listing was functions. It would say contains, not ingredients. It would say contains. If anybody at home is listening, go look right now. If you're not using a natural brand, or if you are using a conventional brand, and it'll say contains optical whiteners, enzymes, anionic and ionic surfactant, and fragrance. Okay, what ingredients?
Wow, what Monica is saying here is so true. Manufacturers are required to list ingredients known to be harmful on their detergent labels. But if the chemical is not yet known to be harmful, then it isn't required to be on the label at all.
And here I am years and years later, and we are still loosely regulated. There's nothing that has to be on my label. What we disclose is because we feel like the consumer has the right to know. And because we want the consumer to see our safe ingredients. So basically what happened in a nutshell is we had Molly. She was stillborn. As a nurse, I had enough of a science brain to say, what's going on? And all the research kept leading me to chemical exposures. And that has to do with a lot of different disease processes that we have today. Cancer. Think about, our DNA is set, but then you have environmental toxins or environmental exposures, and that can cause your DNA to alter. We have cells that our body is replacing every day, and then you have negative chemicals or exposures, and that can cause your cell not to be created perfect. You have a disordered cell thing. So there's so many different reasons. And so I told my husband, I said, I was able to find a safer toothpaste, obviously safer food. That's easy. And, the supply chain, safer shampoo and conditioner, all the bath and body products. There were companies out there that had safer products. And I started making my own cleaning products because there was nothing safe. And I'm sorry, but a homemade detergent, A, is terrible for the high efficiency machines, and B, never got our stuff fully clean because it's soap and there's a film. And and it's terrible for the machine. So I told him one day, I was like, you know what? I think that I want to formulate a laundry detergent. He was just like, okay, what does that look like? And I'm like, I have no idea. But at this point, it was fast forward 3 years later. And I really knew just enough to get me in trouble when it came to chemistry and safe ingredients. And so I found a chemist that helped me to create a safe laundry detergent. And really, truly, the rest is history. We created this product and it worked. And we used farmers markets as our field testing, right? Yeah. We had a lot of feedback from consumers and customers in regards to scent and what they were looking for, bubbles versus no bubbles, and why. Oh, we're looking for bubbles because all detergent bubbles. Right. Well, foaming agents cause bubbles, not cleaning agents. So it was another teaching opportunity to say, hey, listen, we're not bubbling, but it's because we're not adding in these chemical synthetic foaming agents. And so it just really became a journey in creating safer products, because you deserve safer products in your home. You deserve disclosure. You deserve to not have to use something and wonder what's in it.
Right. I love that you say you deserve, and it's so true. Like, I love that you say also that, you look at the back of the box and you're so right. They talk about functions, but a lot of people don't understand that it's a function, correct, not ingredient list. I had a question about during this time. I remember there was a time where people had a lot of allergies to detergent. Was this also around the same time, or were you before that?
Yes, definitely. I mean, so really one of the big reasons why we started it was obviously because of ingredient integrity. But the second half of that is because so many people are allergic to all these ingredients that are in detergents. And so we decided that we would create something that to the skin is benign. We also wanted to make sure that structurally our molecules are large enough that they cannot pass through the skin. We also wanted to make sure that these ingredients would be fully rinsed out of any kind of fiber, so they would do their job and be rinsed away. And so we actually gained our traction in the beginning to the allergy community, to the eczema community,
Yes.
to the community saying, we're itchy, we're irritated, what can we use that's different? Chemical sensitivity disease is a big community that uses our products still to today, because yes, everything that we use is considered non-irritating to the skin. Mm-hmm.
That's great. I feel like people, like, I always forget about laundry detergent, but it is such a big factor, because if you think about like cleaning supplies, you can like see cleaning supplies when you spray it. It's like in the air in your home.
Yes.
And when you're putting on lotion, like you can feel it on your skin. But with laundry, like it comes out dry and you're like, this is the same shirt it was when I put it in the wash. It's just clean now. But you forget about that fact that your skin is taking those toxins in. So I'm kind of curious, like how long did it take you from start to finish when you found the chemist to have the first product? And has that product changed at all throughout the years, or has it kind of remained the same?
So our original laundry powder is the same today as it was back 10 years ago.
Wow.
We went, now we have our super powder that has enzymes and has a more traditional yet safe surfactant, but our original laundry powder is completely earth element based. It is a pH detergent, so there's no bubbles at all. You'll never see a bubble, but it alters the pH of water to be able to assist the perfect surfactant, which is water, to clean.
Okay, a bit more about surfactants. They reduce the surface tension between different compounds, making it easier to blend things like water and oil. And in this way, you get that sensation of bubbles and better cleaning.
It is an amazing product, and yet it is so simple. It's only 5 ingredients. If you get the unscented, it's only 4.
Which is so
now
cool.
We have a lot more products now.
Yeah. And I want to get to some of that. Which is so cool, because I think that's the thing people don't understand is how simple it can be. The 4 or 5 ingredients. And I like that you said no fragrance and it's 4 ingredients, because at the end of the day, it's soap, right? It's just something simple that we're using to clean. And somehow it got really, really complicated by a lot of the conventional brands to give you things that you think you need. And I think it's the simplicity, the allergies, because those are the people. I'm one of those people who have lots of allergies. And so I feel like I'm a canary in the coal mine, where other people don't have it, but I have it. And then but we should use, I guess, people with allergies as an indicator. And so in all of this journey, did you realize that you're going to become this kind of a super woman entrepreneur?
No, it's really funny. While I was a nurse, I was an LPN, not a registered nurse. So part of that is I did not have a full 4-year college education, which, I think is important for people to know, because I think so many people have the stigma where if you don't have your 4-year education, you've kind of met your ceiling already. And that is not true. In life, you've just got to continuously set goals and work hard towards whatever that goal is, and don't take no for an answer. You find a way and you keep on fighting. And so I had to learn pretty quickly, not just time management, because also at the time I had 4 small children still at home. I had a newborn, obviously, and then I had 4 small children at home. We had 4 under the age of 12 at the time.
Oh my God.
And my husband, who worked a full-time job, and my husband, to this day, he's a president of an insurance company. To this day, he has not worked in the Molly Suds company. Now, he has a very good sense of business. So our favorite time together, our date nights, are spent on the back patio with a glass of wine and strategizing business, because he's been a lot of help to me. But no, I never really knew. We started making the product, the formula, once it was perfected. We started making it in my basement in Georgia. I had an assembly line of mamas that would come over, and they just got to take detergent. That was their payment. And our kids would play and we would make detergent. And eventually we started making it out of cement mixers, you guys. That's how we started making this stuff out of cement mixers.
Oh, wow.
And then whenever it got to the point where I was like, oh, wow, like it's not a hobby anymore. This is going to be a company. That's when things got real. And I had to learn We had to find a manufacturing partner and kind of decide what kind of company we wanted to have. Did we want to have a manufacturing company?
Mm-hmm.
Did we want to have a company that formulated, marketed, and distributed our products? And I went with option B, after learning that manufacturing is not the business that I want to be in. I am very appreciative of our manufacturers. We have 3. And just learning business over time, but also realizing that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to reach out to resources in your community. There's probably 7 companies that over the course of time, we have all reached out to each other. Sometimes you just need a form or a document. I've never had to create this before. What do we do? I found a lawyer that helps, small businesses, because you want to make sure you're set in certain things. There's a lot of state programs, and I never have used the Small Business Administration programs, but there's the Greenhouse here locally in St. Pete. It's for entrepreneurs.
Wow.
Great free resources. And most communities have those types of things. So I've never been afraid to ask for help.
Well, yes, it's true. Monica continued to gush about how so many people helped her along the way. I think it's her fearlessness to ask for help that led to her success. It's super refreshing, and no doubt about it, the social good business space is the place to be to find kind, thoughtful, and proactive people.
Reaching out to your network and just starting somewhere too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Did
the
you
whole
know,
takes a village. It really does. We have to help each other.
Yes.
Did you know, 10 years ago, like Cindy said, that you were going to be such an amazing woman entrepreneur, but did you realize then that you would also be creating a product that speaks to such a large community of people that are sustainable and eco-friendly and eco-conscious? And did you know going into it that it would become this product that was really great for the environment too? Like, obviously you went into it with
I would say
factors
to
for
that
people,
100% yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And the reason why is because back then, remember, 2005 is when I started on my journey because of Molly. But from 2005 to 2008, that was a 3-year journey for me realizing what sustainability really means. The word organic, you've got the whole people that are like, oh, it's organic. If it's not organic, I'm not going to grow 3 heads. Which you don't realize, though, organic has to do with the way it's farmed, with the way we treat our earth, with the way we feed our animals. Yes, but what about the feed and how do we rotate the crops? It's a lot more than just the certification of organic. It's sustainability. Organic equals sustainability. So I think because we dove into food first and I really learned what sustainability truly means, that term overflows into all fields of doing the right thing for the environment and for the people. And it's just like this beautiful circle, right? If you're doing the right thing for people, you're doing the right thing for the environment and vice versa. So yes, I felt like that was my target audience, were the people that really understood what ingredient integrity was and why it was important, what sustainability is and why it's important. Packaging is tough because we do have active ingredients. It's the one thing that packaging is always, whether it's food or cleaning products, because of shipping, because of, environmental impact, we are always going to have the concern of shipping. We're going to have the concern of packaging to protect the integrity of whatever the ingredients are. That goes back to, for us, we may have to use plastic, but we try to align ourselves with a company that does right by the environment when they produce the plastic. We may not always be able to use glass. Glass can propose a risk when you're looking at cleaning products. There's kids around, it can fall and break. And so again, coming up with ways to, you still have to consider cost to the consumer, cost to the company, right? So again, it's a big picture. Try to look at it in everything that we do here. I wish you could see our building, but just everything we do here, we try to make the best choice possible for the environment locally, obviously, wherever we source from, and then trying to just make it better for people as well.
Well, I think it's impressive that you started that from the very beginning, because I know how hard it is. And we've spoken to a lot of different companies about making those choices about becoming sustainable. Like you say, there's always that cost factor, and it's a decision point for sure. I'm really curious when I found out that your cleaning supplies are manufactured here in the U.S. and how, can you tell us a little bit about how you're able to find a manufacturer in Florida, I think, right?
Yeah, in Florida. So we actually have one manufacturer in Florida. We do have one in the Northeast. and we have two manufacturers in Florida. One is South Florida, one a little more central to where we are. So there is another company, if you ever wanted to reach out to her. The company is Stream 2C, and Autumn Blum is that female founder, and she created Reef Safe sunscreen because we live coastal, and she's an avid diver. She's gone to amazing places to dive, and she found that reefs over time were dying.
Yes.
And they found out that it was from sunscreen, and people would take showers in the ocean after, they rinse off on their boat and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in a group with her. She's one of the female founders I was in a group with. And I learned that she is actually this brilliant chemist. And she had started a manufacturing facility years and years ago. And so we got in on that manufacturing facility because of our connection.
Wow.
And since then, it's now under new ownership. She's no longer into manufacturing. She has gone on with her business. And world travel and this manufacturer, and they basically have built they do all of our powder manufacturing, and they've built it around us, so it's ours.
Wow.
Nobody else manufactures on our powder manufacturing, and that's another way that we can keep it from having other ingredients on it that we would not approve of. So it was just awesomeness. It was just connection, and again, it's so important to connect within your community to find out, like, hey, what's everybody else doing?
That is so cool. Well, because we hear oftentimes that it's really expensive to manufacture in the U.S., which you have to go abroad. But it sounds like that's not always the case. I mean, you're one of the few
I think
examples,
it depends on your industry.
and you're able to.
Did you ever look abroad, or were you pretty much married to the idea of
I
staying in
never
the US?
did look abroad because so if I'm being totally honest, in the beginning, I never looked abroad because I would have felt like I needed to go see the facility. At the time, I couldn't afford the flight over there.
Right.
I couldn't have left 4 kids and afforded to fly over and visit a facility and make sure that it's everything that they say that it is. Today, could we find, and we did look into this a couple years back, could we find overseas manufacturing and be able to visit it and make sure and vet? Yes. There's also services that do that. I know that now. And so the answer is yes, but we have such an amazing thing going here that we've been able to reduce our costs. And, a lot of it also has to do with volumes. And as our company's grown, price, so there's all these different factors that, again, as you grow, you're able to drive down costs. So it still has not been a barrier to us. And it also allows us to give back to our state's economics. And that, that's part of, again, sustainability. We really believe in giving back to our own state as much as possible. And so we try to, a lot of what we source is from here. And is it going to be a little more? Yes. But we're hoping to make a little bit of a difference because of it.
Well, and what's important too is what you said earlier about that sustainability footprint, right? So it's local, you can go see it, you actually know what's happening, but also it's local. So there's not that huge carbon footprint from shipping things back and forth, which obviously is a concern for the brand.
Right. And it does offset some of our ingredients you cannot get in the United States. There are United States distributors but because of the scrutiny and the safety, a lot of it, they're made in Europe. And so again, it gives us that ability to offset. If we're going to have to import, and we are not personally obviously importing, it goes to a distributor, but still it is considered, right? So distributor imports it, and then, it goes out across the US. Those are the other ways that we can kind of offset some of that. We get our boxes local. They make them in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Wow.
And then they drop them off to our facility. So there is a lot of ways that we try to do or source as much locally as we can.
Yeah, that's great. Keep it local. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And I know personally, I'd love to hear what's next for Molly Suds. Like, what's on the 5-year
Oh my goodness.
plan?
Well, our 5-year plan changes all the time. It just depends on the week. No.
Yeah. What's your 5-month plan?
5-month plan. So actually we're launching a couple really exciting products this year. We have a fabric and hand sanitizer that is FDA approved. That is launching in a few weeks.
Oh, wow.
And it's fabulous. It's a 20-second kill rate, non-toxic to people. You basically spray it on. You can use it first to spray it on your mask or on the bottom of your shoes. When the kids go back to school, it's great for backpacks. And it's also safe enough for your hands.
Yes, that's great.
So
Like
anyway,
you could
it's a fabric
spray it on your face
sanitizer.
mask.
You
For your
can,
face mask.
absolutely. Yep, spray it on your face mask. So that way you can just stay in your car, spray both sides, let it sit 20 seconds, everything on it's dead.
That's going to be a game changer
I
for
love
all
that.
the moms
That
out
is
there.
a game changer. Yeah, because you
Yeah,
don't
we're
have time
really
to like put it
excited
in the
about that.
laundry every week. Yeah.
No, not realistic at all. Yeah, it's just not realistic, especially if you're going store to store. Technically speaking, you should be cleaning it in between. So if you're really trying to protect yourself, since most of us aren't wearing the ones with filters, just the cloth. So there's that. And we're also launching our liquid laundry detergent line towards the end of Q4. So that'll be very exciting. We have a delicate wash launching. And then we have some really exciting products for 2021 coming out.
Well, I think what a lot of people don't realize is how you are a full-blown cleaning brand now. It's not just detergent, which
laundry.
Yeah, not just laundry, but we had an opportunity to use your all-purpose cleaner, which I can't stop talking about. And
good.
Yeah, I love it. It's actually fantastic. It really cuts grease, unlike other all-purpose cleaners. I just recommend it to a friend of mine whose kids are going away to college. She has twins, and she's like, "What should I use?" I'm like, "Use Molly's Suds." But now there's this sanitizer, so I'm going to tell her about it.
Yes, yeah, it's fantastic. You guys, so you know the bottom of your oven, unless you're amazing and you put like tin foil down there, which I never do. So you get the drips from the food when you're cooking, and the bottom of the oven becomes like this ash graveyard, you know. And without having to heat your house up to the 900 degrees to use the self-cleaner for the oven, spray that down with the all-purpose cleaner, as well as that gunk on the bottom that kind of gets there over time, especially if you have kids that are helping cook, and leave it there for an hour or so, and then get a hot cloth and just wipe it up. It is amazing.
We couldn't help ourselves and chatted more about what makes a good company. I know, a diversion from the last thought. And Monica shared with us that they are a debt-free company, super rare these days. And she accomplished this by focusing on slow growth. And when creating product lines, she focused on creating products that people needed. And this led her to creating a stain-fighting, super powder cleaning detergent that ended up beating out 7 of top 9 brands, including Tide. And she had such great insight on the power of consumers.
And again, because there was more demand for safer ingredients, in the beginning, I wouldn't have developed. We used vinegar, baking soda, water. You know, it was very difficult for me to trust another company. But now there's all these safe ingredients because customers say, "Hey, we want safer ingredients."
You had said that consumers have the loudest voice, and kind of like maybe our kind of end with, what are your kind of simple or top recommendations for consumers when they're out and about?
Sure. So regardless if you're shopping for food or household cleaners, the more simple and natural the ingredient, the more sustainable it is. Okay. So, you know, you shop your perimeter whenever you're in a grocery store. If you have to shop down the center because you're busy and you need some convenience type foods or prepackaged foods, go for your smallest ingredient list. Always look for the smallest ingredient list. When it comes to cleaning products, you want to make sure they're listing their ingredients. Go to their website. What's their sustainability practices or promises? What are they talking about in regards to their ingredients? Pretty much all of them now talk about that. Typically, the conventional brands are not listing their ingredients. They may have sustainable practices because they're so giant, they are forced to by the EPA, but it doesn't mean that their sustainability equals safety for you. So there is some hand in hand there. You have to make sure that the ingredient integrity is there. And you can call and ask them, but the best way is to look on the back of an ingredient, back of a container, look at those ingredients. What are they saying to you? Does it say no 1,4 dioxane? Does it say, you know, no this, no that? You want to look for the no's and kind of learn what your top 10 ingredients are that you're going to say no to. And I used to carry that list on an index card until it was like tattered, and just look at ingredient lists. You've got to teach yourself. Once you teach yourself and once you get that core base of companies that you trust, it becomes easy. Educated platforms like this platform. You guys are educating. You're giving the facts. They're hearing directly from the companies, and then write it down. And when you go shopping, do your research and look and see. Stop listening to everybody else and educate yourself. Do the research. Take the time. You deserve it. Those around you deserve it. It'll make you smarter.
That is so, those are words of wisdom that goes beyond cleaning supplies, I think. Just kind of everything that's happening these days. I love that your little card or just, you know, on your phone of just kind of a no list to make it simple and easy for yourself. And start small, right? Like start with simple
Start
things.
small. Core products, things that touch your skin is really important. Things you ingest, really important. And then I went to things that I inhaled.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us and tell us your story and, you know, how everything got started. And obviously really sorry about your loss with Molly. And I couldn't imagine going through something like that. And I'll be praying for her. And I'm so happy that it's, you know, you've been able to turn it into some little.
Absolutely. I feel like God gave us an opportunity.
World, so.
Yeah, truly.
Sure.
I mean, it's just been an opportunity. And if nothing else, we were able to open our eyes to the world of chemicals. I would have never known. As a consumer, you don't always know.
No.
So unfortunately, most people that come to use safer ingredients has a why, whether it's a diagnosis or a situation. But I'm very thankful that it happened the way that it did, because I know that she's okay. And it gave not just our family this opportunity, but so many other people have had safer products because of it. So it was a giant blessing in the end.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Good Smack. We hope you've enjoyed talking smack with us.
And don't forget to check out Hey Social Good,
Hey Sogo for short,
to learn about all of the other awesome brands out there giving back to the world and our planet. Until next time, Good Smackers.
Thank you.